Okay, final video of the week. This is going to cover pages 71 through 77 of the five people you meet in heaven. We kind of left in the middle of a section. To be honest with you, we're going to kind of end in one too. We're still not going to resolve this third person until next week. All right, but let's kind of go ahead and give you some more context because really we've got a bunch of differing stories going everywhere right now, and we don't really see the connection. Neither does Eddie. He even points that out as we start reading. Okay. He says, "I'm sorry about your husband." She's like, "Hey, don't worry about it. We still lived full lives. We had three children." She said, "He died early, but I kept living." And Eddie says, "I don't understand. Did we ever meet? Did you ever come to the pier?" And she points out, no. She says her kids came, but she never went back there. So what we're learning here is that Eddie and her never had any interaction, none at all. So he asks the question that we all should be thinking about at this point. So why am I here? He said, in other words, so why is this woman his third person? Of all the people in his life he could have had, why is she there? He says, I mean, your story, the fire, it all happened before I was born. And then this is the key now. She says, things that happen before you were born still affect you, she said, and people who come before your time affect you as well. She says, we move through places every day that would never have been if not for those who came before us. Our workplaces, where we spend so much time, we often think they began with our arrival. That's not true. She taps her fingertips together. If not for Emil, I would have no husband. If not for our marriage, there would be no pier. If there had been no pier, you would not have ended up working there. Eddie scratched his head. So you're here to tell me about work? No, dear, Ruby answered, her voice softening. I'm here to tell you why your father died. All right. So, we get this really, and I kind of set this up yesterday, the fact that, it's more than just the moment you're born to the moment you die. There's things that happen before that impact you, and there's people that came before that impact you, and there's going to be people afterwards that are going to be impacted by you who never knew you. And that's kind of the key. You got to think about all the sacrifices. For example, for me, all the sacrifices people made when Cottage Hill started their high school. And all those early days when there was probably a struggle with attendance and things like that and enrollment, and all the effort that Dr. Lang and his wife put into that school have impacted me, even though I worked for Dr. Lang for a semester before he had retired, so I barely had interactions with him. I've spoken to his wife a couple of times at awards day ceremonies, and so they don't know, they couldn't pick me out of a lineup. They don't know me. But the fact is that they've had a massive impact on me, because if it wasn't for them, that school wouldn't be there. And I've learned what it is to be a teacher from teaching at that school. And I've learned, to have a passion for teaching because of that school. And I've learned a lot about who I am because of that school. So I owe a lot of that to those people who've never had any impact on my life as far as directly, but definitely indirectly are responsible for who I am today. So that's kind of the point she's making with him. And then she tells him, hey, but really what I'm here to do is to tell you about your father. And so then we go back again and we get that very night that was on this is Eddie's birthday, where he finds out more about his father. So apparently his father was drunk one night and fell into the ocean. The guy had problems before. I mean, he smoked, he drank all the time. He's got some health issues. And the doctors fish him out, or not, the doctors don't fish him out, but he's fished out, and they say he's got pneumonia. And especially in that time period, probably not a good sign that he's going to make it. And his mom keeps saying, the doctor said it's pneumonia. I should have done something. I should have done something. And Eddie's like, what are you supposed to do? Now, that's going to come back later, because we're only in this section getting Eddie's view of what happened right then. The fact is there's something else that occurred. Excuse me, guys. I'm so sorry. I've done all 5 of these videos, one after another, and my voice is shot. So, we get some more about his dad. His dad had been by this ocean water so much and just all the stuff. There's congestion. He's not got good lungs. All right. They said his condition went from fair to stable, from stable to serious. And friends went in saying he'll be home in a day to he'll be home in a week. So we start figuring out that this guy's probably not going to leave the hospital. But while he's in the hospital, Eddie kind of picks up the slack and does his work for him because he's hoping to hold the job for his dad. The thing is, and this is such a neat little thing about relationships, and no matter how bad a relationship is with family, there's still that desire in the back of most of our minds to make it right. So Eddie's still trying to get his father's approval here. I mean, remember, his dad hasn't spoken to him in years at this point, but he's still doing this for his dad because he still loves him. Says what he's really doing was protecting his father's job. The owners acknowledged his efforts and paid him half of what his father earned. He gave the money to his mother, who went to the hospital every day and slept there most nights. So they're doing everything they can to stay afloat. It says Eddie and Marguerite cleaned her apartment and shopped for her food. So they're trying to help the mom out through all of this. Um, he points out that when he was a teenager, he kept saying he would never do what his dad did. And his dad kind of was offended, like, is this not good enough for you? And Eddie says the irony is he realizes now that this is what he's going to probably be doing. Um, then we have another one of those really top of 74 here, cool passages about parenting. It says parents rarely let go of their children, so children let go of them. They move on, they move away. The moments that used to define them, a mother's approval or a father's nod, are covered by moments of their own accomplishments. It's not until much later, as the skin sags and the heart weakens, that children understand their stories and all their accomplishments sit atop the stories of their mothers and fathers, stones upon stones beneath the water of their lives. Such a cool paragraph. And as a parent, I get that. As an older person, it is hard for parents to let go of their kids, but eventually, and you guys are sophomores, but 2 years from now we could have this talk again. You'll be moved. A lot of you will be moving away, or moving out at least, and that's going to be a tough moment for your parents. And it's not as tough for the kids usually because they're moving on. But it says that kids don't realize it until they're older, but you don't realize that your accomplishments and the things that you achieve that you're so proud of, a lot of that's built on your parents. They gave you a work ethic. They gave you the resources. They did everything they could to set you on a path to be successful. Now, yes, I realize some kids achieve in spite of their parents who weren't a great resource for them, but most of you have parents that are a tremendous resource, and one day you're going to be really successful. And I hope that before you get old, like he's describing here, you thank your parents for what they've done, because your success is predicated on them. Now, yes, you achieved it on your own, but a lot of the groundwork was laid by your parents. They've instilled with you values. They've given you, the resources you need. They've given you stability, things like that. So, it's worth thanking them before it's too late. So at this point, Eddie's father dies, and Eddie, of course, is angry because it's unfinished. He never got to make any sort of reconciliation with his dad. So it shows him rushing back to his father's home, just digging through his stuff, trying to find something to hold on to that can remind him. And he finds a deck of playing cards. And by the way, I told you before, album's not going to give you a detail that doesn't have purpose. So those playing cards, wait for them to reappear near the end of this book. All right. So he finds these playing cards and he puts them in his pocket, just something that can remind him, because he remembers his dad playing cards all the time. So that's kind of the thing. Talk about the funeral being really small, but Eddie realizing really quickly that this has had a major impact on his mother. It says one night Eddie saw her stacking dishes on the countertop. "Let me help you," he said. "No, no," his mother answered. "Your father will put them away." "Ma," he said softly, "Dad's gone." "Gone where?" So at that point, Eddie knows that his mom's not doing well either. So he does what any good son would do, and he quits his old job. He moves home, takes care of his mom, and picks up the job his dad had. The job he swore he would never, ever work, and here he is. All right? It says, he cursed his father for dying and for trapping him in the very life he'd been trying to escape, a life that, as he heard the old man laughing from the grave, apparently now was good enough for him. So you remember before, his father had always joked about what this isn't good enough for you, and he says, well, I guess it is, because that's what I've got. Now, kind of a neat thing about the today's Eddie's birthday section that we end the reading on for this week is that it starts off with he is 37. The last one, he was 33 when his father died. So we're 4 years, or when they got the call about his father, he wasn't dead yet. So it's been less than 4 years since his father's died, and we get this image of him and how different he's become in those 4 years. Okay, now I don't want to put words in Mitch Albom's mouth or make any wrong suggestions here, but it seems like Eddie has a work friend here, Noelle, who their relationship seems a little too close for me. All right, like she feeds him at one point in this and is joking about him coming and spending his birthday with her at the racetrack gambling, and he goes. My wife wouldn't fly with that. She would definitely be beating up a girl over this. So I don't want to say there's anything untoward happening here, but there's definitely some feeling that maybe. But this whole scene just shows that Eddie, basically deciding he's going to spend his birthday at the track. This is important for what we're going to read on Monday of next week. it ends with, Noel lifts an eyebrow. We can make the track by 6. Eddie thinks about Marguerite. He always thinks about Marguerite when Noel mentions the horse track. Come on, it's your birthday, Noel says. Eddie pokes a fork at his eggs, now too cold to bother with. All right, he says. So when it says he always thinks about Marguerite when Noel mentions the horse track, we know that Marguerite has an issue with that. She doesn't like him going to the horse track, as most wives wouldn't. Um, but yet he's still going to do it. And that should send a little bit of a down your spine, because we know this isn't the Eddie we like right here. All right. So we're going to get the third lesson on Monday, and we're going to find out more about this situation with Noel, and also why that day that he chose to go to the track is such a big deal. All right. Okay, so that finishes the week's reading. You know, Probably not as powerful as some of the stuff from Tuesdays with Maury, but still really neat. And let me tell you, next week's readings are gonna get you. There's some really deep stuff coming up next week. I can't wait to get into it with you, and I can't wait to bring you those videos next week. So thank you again for your time. You guys are tremendous. I appreciate everything you're doing. Your answers to questions have been phenomenal. Just everything you're doing is more than I could have expected. And you guys make me glad that I'm still teaching, to be honest with you. And I want to thank you guys for making this year, which in some ways could be seen as a waste, into such a positive and such a reaffirming moment for me. And it really comes down to my sophomore classes. You guys have been the rocks that keep this going, and that's not something I can say usually about 10th graders. So thank you guys. Thank you for everything you've done. Thank you for the effort you've put in, even on the days where you don't want to, or you feel frustrated, or you want to yell at Mr. Morris for giving you so much work. If that happened, thank you for sticking it out and doing such a good job. You guys really are tremendous, and I can't wait to have you back in the classroom next year. So hang in there, guys. We are nearing the end. So thank you again for your time, and I will see you next week for your new set of videos.